Well, hello and welcome to the first introductory chapter of the Longevity Video Book. My name is Angela Hunter and I am joined by Dr. Wayne Label. Dr. Label, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day here. I hope it is where you are as well.
Yes, it sure is. It sure is. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Born and raised in San Francisco. Any other San Franciscans out there? Fifth
Uh,
gen San
uh,
Franciscan.
no, I don't.
Okay. Well, maybe there's some other San Franciscan out there somewhere.
I'm sure there are. All you San Franciscoers, comment below. We'd love to hear from you.
Please do. And I went to school in Berkeley, undergraduate, and then went on and got my master's and doctorate at UCLA. Been in the teaching field ever since. Taught at 17 different universities. Some people said I couldn't hold a job. I did just like to travel a lot. Some of those universities were in Latin America, where luckily I learned Spanish. And then some were on the East Coast, some were on the West Coast, and once even in the Midwest. So from wherever you folks are watching this, maybe I've been at a university near you. And then taught at the university, worked for the federal government for a little bit in the area of the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. And retired from teaching probably 4 years ago when I started writing books and wrote a book on accounting for non-accountants. And now have taken a pivot, as a lot of us have done here during the pandemic, and taken a pivot towards the area of longevity.
Yeah. And even before COVID, because full disclosure, we know each other, right, Wayne? You've been interested in health. So, what makes an accountant take such a interest in studying health and well-being?
Well, I guess I'd have to answer that by saying I would hope every person in any profession, in any walk of life, would want to treat their body like a cathedral, as Jimmy Buffett might say, and enjoy learning more about how we can be healthy. Which brings us to a topic of lifespan. And there's a number of books out there on lifespan and longevity, and sometimes equated, as a matter of fact. And when I talk to friends and they say, well, I don't want to live that long because I don't want to be in diapers, we have to talk about the topic of health span. And I think the goal in all of our lives would be to have lifespan equal health span so that we're healthy right up to the last day we're here contributing on this planet.
Yeah, for sure. So you're saying that there's a difference between health span and lifespan, and your book focuses on health span?
I think that would be fair recognition. At the same time, would like to focus also on I decided, so there are two books of all the 50 that I've read so far that have probably the two most influence. One is called, well, there are three actually. Younger Next Year, which I recommend everybody take a look at. And we can, in fact, physically become younger next year. Each and every one of you ought to take a test that's free on the web on your biological age. And we hope that your biological age is a lot less, and that's our goal, than our calendar or birth certificate age. And the other one was a book, say, by a Chinese gentleman called I Decided to Live to Be 120. Well, I decided myself to beat him, so I've always said I've decided to live to be 125. But the idea of that book is that the mind has such tremendous control over the body. And if you really believe and don't say, oh dear, I'm sick today, I'm going to die in 6 months, or I'm going to die in my 80s. In fact, there was an interesting study done where they took a group of people, divided them in half. They had all the same characteristics, all non-smokers, all lived in some similar cities, similar environments, and asked one half of the group what they were going to live to be, and they said in their 80s. The other half said they'd be living into their 90s. Well, about 88% of the ones that said they'd live to be 80 did and died. And about 78% of the ones that said they'd live to be 90 did and died in their 90s. So the mind has tremendous control. And when you say I've decided to live to be 125, I've got notes all over the house here that say 125 on to remind me that I've decided. And you can decide to keep your health with a lot of work on your part to do that.
I love that. I love that. So mindset is obviously one of the most important concepts of longevity then, right?
Most definitely.
Cool. What are some of the other key concepts that you believe are important for longevity?
Fantastic question, Angela. Because I used to always believe, and went around giving talks about this when I started speaking about longevity, exercise, exercise, exercise. Get out there and move it. There's do I have this? There's a book called Ikigai, excuse me, for those of you Japanese folks out there, I'm torturing your language, which is a book on the Japanese secret to longevity. And the statement that they make is if you don't move it, you lose it, in my terms, not Japanese terms. And I think we've always known that, is that we've got to use it. And so I kept saying to everybody, you got to exercise, exercise, exercise. Well, I've now concluded, at least I'm leaning towards, health and longevity is a four-legged stool. And without the four legs, the stool is going to fall over. And those four legs are nutrition, exercise, meditation, and sleep. And I find that those are the four most important items, and we'll have chapters on each one of these topics and talk to some experts in each one of them. When I say meditation, it can be prayer, and people lean towards prayer, equate it with meditation. Exercise, as we know, includes everything from HIIT, which is high intensity interval training, to yoga or Tai Chi. And so each one of those legs are important for our longevity. And if we eliminate any one of them or don't focus on any one of them, when the stool falls, we die.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great visual. Certainly don't want that stool to fall. You mentioned some of the specifics, like meditation could look like prayer, or exercise could be HIIT. In your book, are you going to say specifically which type of exercise is best and which type of meditation is best, or is that more based on what each individual prefers, their preferences?
Really, really good question. Because it was just yesterday that I learned a little bit more about exercise. That the person that goes to the gym for an hour and a half, 3 times a week, and does heavy weightlifting or does HIIT types of exercise will not live longer than the person that never makes it to the gym. That they're finding that what they found, we're going to talk about in the book, the blue zones. And the blue zones are those 5 areas of the world where the people live longer than any other place in the world. That one of the commonalities in those 5 blue zones is not exercise as we think of exercise, it's total movement during the day. And so they're out there either picking potatoes and getting up at sunrise and going to bed at sunset, which is another important factor, is consistency.
Mhm.
They found that it's very bad on our health to go to bed 10 o'clock one night, 12 o'clock the next night, 8 o'clock the next night. The consistency is super important.
Mhm.
And in these blue zones, the people are, many of the areas are farmers, and they get up with the sun and go to bed at the sunset. And they're out doing things all day long. And that's a much better form of exercise. Now, those of us that live in the city, we don't have potatoes to pick.
Mhm.
And so one of the recommendations is when you're sitting at your desk, at least every hour, you get up and spend at least 3 minutes of doing some exercise. You can do jumping jacks, you can do push-ups, or you can just walk around the house.
Mhm.
But if you sit at your desk for 8 hours a day, you're asking for a death knell.
Mm. I like though how it sounds like in the book, you're going to make it realistic for people's lifestyle. I mean, if they have a desk job, they have a desk job, but you're going to give them some practical ways that they can incorporate these different legs of the stool, so to speak. So how they can fit in movement into their day and things like that.
Google has done a tremendous job of doing that. At the Google locations, there are pool tables, ping pong tables, nap areas to do meditation or take a nap. And their job is to get their job done. If they want to come in at 12 o'clock noon and stay until 12 o'clock midnight, if they want to go home for 3 hours and play with the kids before the kids go to bed, and there's places to do exercise. And they've figured this out, that what's good for the employee is not to sit at their desk for 8 hours.
Yeah, yeah, right on Google.
Which is now,
um,
YouTube is now owned by Google.
well, there you go.
Hello
Take,
to all of you Googlers out there as we are on YouTube here.
yeah, yeah. You mentioned something else when you were talking about the legs of the stool. You said that there were going to be different experts for these different critical aspects of longevity. So I'm guessing it's not just you that's going to be giving all this information. You're gonna have experts. How does that work with the video book? What does that look like?
Oh, that's a great question because we're doing something new here. To the best of my research, there are not any video books out there. There are audiobooks, we've all heard of those. There's ebooks, there's printed books, but I can't find any audiobooks. Why an audiobook? And how are we going to integrate this? Well, everybody for the last year of this pandemic have been staying at home doing YouTube or Zoom. And everybody is now used to this type of a format. So what I want to do is in each chapter, interview an expert and pass their knowledge on to us, and I say us, all the readers, including me, of how we get the balance in this four-legged stool. So that's the goal of, and why we can do it on video. And one of the neat things about a video book, I've read 35 books now on longevity, and as soon as that book is written, it's outdated because it takes 2 years to write to get it published. Here we get instant publication, and when something new comes out, we do a new interview, and we get rid of video A and replace it with video B. Trying to come out with a second edition of a book, which I've had the experience, can take 3 years, and then it's outdated again. And so one of the things we're going to find in this book and what we talk about in longevity, I read someplace that it was really important. It said, give me 5 years, Angela. Don't die on me in 5 years, and I promise to give you 30 years. And the reason why is the technology is going to change so quickly. We see it in the whole technology field and in automobiles. An automobile has now become more of a technological instrument than it is an automobile. And so when you talk about Elon Musk, sorry, talking about his Tesla, he didn't invent the car. He didn't invent what a wheel does. But what he did was he combined it with technology. And that's what we're hoping to do here with this book, is combine technology with the topics of longevity.
That's fantastic, because I think we can all agree that technology is just moving at warp speed. And so, and medicine and health, we just continue to get more and more information. So what you're saying is with this video book that it's constantly evolving and it will just keep current with the latest research being done in health and longevity.
Yes, your point's so well taken about technology changing. Between the year 1900 and 1950, our knowledge on medical technology doubled.
Wow.
Now doubles every 6 months.
Wow. Wow. So
Elon,
we really need to pat ourselves on the back, Wayne, for getting this Zoom call set up and putting things on YouTube, because it's constantly changing.
yeah, we better publish it quickly, because who knows within the next 15 minutes what new technological changes will help us. For those of you that are familiar or are not familiar with Elon Musk, he has invented, what did he call it?
The Neuralink?
The Neuralink, thank you very much, which will be transplanted into our brains. It has some pros and cons. None of the cons are medically disadvantaged. Ethically are some of the issues that it's being dealt with. But it'd be very similar to when you hop into your car and the red light goes on, you know you're low on oil. This little transmitter in your brain will transmit to your iPhone, or for those of you that don't use iPhones, that other machine. And it will transmit something saying we've got a cell that's mutated. And before it can mutate and affect you to have cancer, we'll be able to do something about that cell through gene therapy, and you won't get cancer. Now, that trade-off with the ethical issues of maybe somebody else knowing what your brain's thinking, that's a topic of discussion of a different kind of book.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, getting back to what is specifically going to be covered in your book. So you talked a little bit about the stool legs. What any other key concepts related to medicine of the future, like genetics or things we found out about chronic disease? Anything there that's going to be experts are going to discuss with us?
Yeah, I think that the popularity of 23andMe and looking at our genes and the impact that that can have on our body. In fact, for those of you, here's another clarity point to be made. You will see Angela again as one of our experts, and she's been working with in the area of nutrition, but not just nutrition, tying it into our gene structure and the impact that certain genes have on what we should be eating. And what I should be eating is different than what Angela should be eating, and what you should be eating, reader, listener of this YouTube video.
Yeah. You and I, we've talked a lot about bioindividuality, and I'll just chime in here that you and I have also talked a lot about inflammation and how we know now how inflammation can lead to disease, which obviously is the antithesis of longevity. So there'll be some points covered on how to reduce inflammation. Is that correct?
Very much so, including in the mouth. Many people have inflammation of the gums, which cause gum disease, and that has an impact on one's health as well. But yes, inflammation is going to be an extremely important topic.
Yeah. Anything else? Any other teasers about what's going to be inside these videos?
I think, as we say, stay tuned. I hope that each of you listening today will find this whole topic very interesting to you personally. And as I mentioned to Angela, I usually talk to people about my goal, living to 125. And I get two responses. Nah, that's impossible. Or I don't want to live that long. But just keep in mind that if we can talk about at the end of this book, by the end of this book, if I can call it a book, the, if we can get your health span to equate to your lifespan, why not live to be 120? In the first 60 years, you did what you have to do as an individual here on this planet. You raised the children, you got through jobs, you made money, you bought a house. Now the second 60 years is, as I've found in a number of the books I've read, are for you and for giving back. And so it's a time of our lives that we got to live that next 60 years to give back what we've taken for the first 60 years. So hang in there with me and live to be 120.
Certainly puts a new meaning to the golden years, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah. You don't have to think about, gosh, I'm 70 years old. I'm going to die in 10 years. No, you're going to die in 50 years. Now
I
get
love,
there, take care of your body, take care of your mind, and give back to society.
I love that. I love that. And I'll tell you, viewers, Wayne is a very humble guy, so he might make me edit this out. But talking about being of service, I know that he dedicates much of his time and his energy to foundations like the Make a Wish Foundation and the YMCA. So he has taken all of his learning about how to stay healthy and vibrant and transmuting that out into the world to give back in such great ways for people. So I know that part of his mission in writing this book is to have more of others being able to do the same. So, and I'm sure that there are a lot of you out there who would like to give back, especially during these difficult times, and to have the energy and the vibrancy and the health to be able to do that. So let's talk about how people can find out more. So this, of course, is free. This introductory chapter, and then how can viewers access these other chapters with the experts?
That's a fine question, of which is out of my pay grade, but luckily I've got some technical people that know the answers. But each chapter will be 99 cents, and they can be bought through YouTube. And that would be interesting for you folks. You can pick and choose which topics seem of interest to you.
What? Go ahead.
Most of them are, but you can pick and choose and buy a chapter for 99 cents.
So it's like a choose your own adventure chapter where you can pick what's most relevant for you.
Yes. And we'll send you emails if you choose. You can opt out, most certainly. We will send you emails when there's an update to one of the chapters that you're interested in, or an update to a chapter that you weren't interested in, but maybe you are now because of what has transpired in the field of medicine or the field of longevity.
I love that. I love that. And 99 cents, I mean, what a steal. So I have to say, forgive us, friends, blame it on technology moving at warp speed. But I believe what we'll have is a link down below eventually where it will take you to a page where you can access these different chapters. So Dr. Label is working fast and furiously with his team on that to get that ready for you, because I'm sure that you are just as anxious as I am to dive into that chapter that interests you, be it the meditation or the sleep or any of the other topics. So yeah.
Thank you very much. Thanks to you, Angela, for putting this interview together. Thanks to those of you out there listening. We hope we've piqued your interest, and we'll hope to see you again on a future YouTube video.
Yes, yes. And if you want to stay up to date on what we are doing, and as this book continues to evolve and more chapters come out, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this conversation, got anything out of what Wayne and I discussed, don't forget to hit that like button. So let's grow this community strong so that we can have more people living long, healthy lives and helping each other, helping the world.
There's also my email address will be posted below. And if you have any questions at all or any comments or any thoughts, please email me at any time. I'd love to hear your ideas.
Super, super. All right. Well, I guess that's it. Any closing thoughts? All right. Well, you heard it here. Stay tuned. More to come. Great first ever longevity video book. I'm so excited.
Me
Stay
too. Hope to see you all out there again soon.